To start, I would like to try to understand how you mentally, well, not mentally, visualize
Hmm.
sound art. It is a structure, it is a rhythm, a flow, a drawing.
For me, sound art is more of a feeling. I can visualize it, I can draw it, and most times I connect with sound through listening. And other times, when I'm out in the field, I try and draw the location while listening to the sounds I've recorded and try and understand the space which I am in. Yeah.
2 days ago, you worked with a group about a topic regarding the residency, you were the sound art person of the group. How, with word and intention, did you manage to share um, how you visualize or how you hear sound art and transmit to the rest of your group?
It was a very interesting approach, and I'm glad that my group, all of them, decided it was their decision to work with sound, and was impressed that we decided to go down to the river and listen before. And on the following day, it was also a bit really interesting to see everybody in this situation where they're in silence and trying to like listen to the environment. And yeah.
And for the first group, the first day, when you have a theory about what you wanted to achieve and you went on the field the first day, um, how what what step or strategies did you put in motion to explain to the rest of the group how things work?
So coming to a conclusion that we're going to do sort of a sound art project or sound listening or sound work. For the group, we discussed of how we're going to go down there and either record or write down the sounds we're listening to or hearing. And we decided we're not going to record with devices because we wouldn't be part of the recording. So I decided with the group that we will go down to the river and write down the sounds which we're listening to. And I feel that this will bring a more connection to the environment and us as participants being part also of the recording. Yeah.
And the second day, do you feel that you rediscover that a field and landscape as your small group with the other group, or because you already have the knowledge or the feeling of the space, it was another layer of understanding of the space.
It was interesting to hear the outcomes or how people actually listen to and to understand what people actually come out with after going for a sound walk and what really intrigued them while listening. Some being in a space where all of us were silent for more than 10 to 15 minutes and trying to understand our physical spaces. And largely as a group, it was a fascinating scene just to observe people listening, which I think is a topic or something that we should like pay so much attention to. Yeah.
So you were observing the group, and I was observing you. So you use a binaural microphone, headphones, but you are really still. You are close to the water. Um, what was your intent?
Yeah. Early that morning, I decided to carry the field recorder, the binaural microphone, which I used part of the sound work. I wasn't so sure where I really wanted to use the microphones, but I decided to put them on in my ear down near the water because when I was closing my eyes, I could, without the microphones, I could picture or specialize the different water sounds back and forth and sides, and I wanted to have a perception of how these microphones are going to capture this sound. I haven't still listened back to my recording, but yeah, I'm looking forward to understand. And I feel in sound recording or collecting different sounds, we mostly focus on stereo and sometimes we try experiment with binaural sound space. And it's interesting that there's sound is 360 degrees and that's why I decided to use this specific kind of microphones for the recording.
It, I guess it has been a peculiar experience in a way because I think that most of the time you are going to do field recordings on your own, and then you went with the first group to feel the field, and the second day it was a drawing but also field recordings collective experience. Um, how did you how do you feel about it? What was your sensation? You were able to you were in your moment alone, or you feel that you were more connected to at other points in the on the field?
I was connected with the space. The first state was more of trying to understand this new space with our group, which was interesting. Also coming back and hearing the whole perception or what they think about this space. And, I was, and on the second day with the whole group, it was also a bit interesting and also a challenge because most of the time I usually go recording on my own and finding these different spaces on my own. And as a collective field recording, collectively going on a field with different people or like different like work related situations. It was interesting, really interesting, and I was so happy to hear people's outcomes and having all these people in a space where they can listen. It was amazing. Yeah.
Um, what is the for you from your experience having that active collective experience of field recording? Um, what is for you the main difference between you being the storyteller and compose or recompose with your field recording and then express them through the music or live music? What is the difference audience wise?
Um, with with an audience, maybe you can rephrase the question again.
Wasn't really precise. My question is it was an active part of field recording with the rest of the group. But we can say as well that sometimes when people are going to concert to see field recording for field recording concert, it's also active. Um, do you feel that having active field recording concerts live on the field would be something that you would love to explore?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting approach where the whole process from the start to the finish of the whole recording is a performance or a composition where from the start of leaving the COA studio and heading down to the gorge, that whole journey was a performance by the people and by even writing down the sounds you're hearing and also paying so much attention to the sounds. And I think active listening and being part of the performance is something that field recordist or sound of musician should like engage in their music or in their works. Yeah.
From your experience, from the time you start to do field recordings until now, for you it is. Do you think that now it is more complicated to listen to sounds more than seeing the sounds? But because maybe we have the habits with that relationship with screens every day, do you feel that they are, the sense are disturbing?
I think there's a really deep connection with visual and the sound because sometimes you record a sound and you're trying to visualize it. For example, I can hear a bird right now, but I don't know how the bird looks like. So I think it's a very challenging way when I'm in the field that since I started recording, most of the times I used to carry my recorder in my bag and capture sounds, or I see something and I think it has an interesting sound, I'll record it. But now it's more of planning to go for a field trip and not ex- not really not having expectations of what I'm going to capture, but just to have the experience and anticipation of something is going to sound nice here, or I'm going to see something which has a very unique sound. And it's even, I think, getting more a bit of a challenge or harder where I have to think more of the sounds or why am I recording, yeah, and also the outcome of the recording, how am I going to use it. And are the people going to really connect with these sounds? Yeah.
Um, how do you have a limit, a frontier, between captation and exploration when you are going on the field?
It's more of exploring these different locations. I just use a map and try and find an abandoned place. Like my last long field recording drive, I drove for 2.5 hours, not having a particular destination, and I just decided to stop at this abandoned place where there were cows and two people, and just walked around. So it's more of exploring the space. Yeah.
And last question, do you, when you're listening to your work afterwards, um, could you see it as a field mapping, or as a of the space that you where you did the field recording, or do you think that you are creating a new land, a new country?
I see it both ways because I have so much field recorded sounds, and it's interesting how all the time, even if I don't name the sounds or where I've recorded these sounds, when I listen back to these recordings, I actually remember the time and the space which I was at, and the actual location of this space. And same time, I'm creating a map of the different locations I've been to, and using these sounds as a memory of these different locations. Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
Thank you.